Hi, welcome to the Semiotic Eye, a podcast where you get to learn about all things semiotics. The following episodes will include conversations between Hamsini Shivkumar, India's leading semiotician and founder of Leapfrog Strategy Consulting, and Anurag Vesh, the founder of Mensa, a social media platform for audio sharing. The live audience listening to the conversations were allowed to interject and ask questions. Unfortunately, you won't be able to do the same here. However, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us on Leapfrog Strategy Consulting on LinkedIn. We hope this podcast is insightful to you and deepens your understanding of semiotics.
Okay, so I'll start. Yeah, so basically what got us working on this exercise as a team was, there is a newly launched chess league. So because it's a newly launched league, we were looking at the logos and identities of those chess leagues. And then that sort of got us thinking that let's compare it with the very well established first and foremost league, which was the IPL teams, and then came Pro Kabaddi. So what do we find when we look at the logos of Pro Kabaddi teams? And is there something that these chess guys have in common or not? And also looking at the women's IPL teams. What sort of ideas do they follow? What sort of logos do they create and so on? So all of that was quite interesting. And so to go into what we found, basically, as can be guessed, the underlying metaphor, there is a metaphor that underpins much of this team identity design. And that metaphor is that tournaments are akin to wars, right? And sporting arenas are the modern day battlefields. So therefore, then, by extension, the players are warriors, and hence much of the identity and symbolism of the teams are all to do with telling the warrior story or the warrior narrative, right? So we'll start by looking at some of the IPL teams so you have Delhi Capitals, Punjab Kings, Chennai Super Kings, Bengal Warriors, Royal Challengers, and then the Bengaluru Bulls is in the same space but with a different animal. But all of these, the Delhi Capitals, Punjab Kings, Chennai Super Kings, and the Royal Challengers, Bangalore, all of them feature, and this Bengal Warriors, so they feature lions or tigers, right? So the open mouth fangs showing, that the sort of fierce looking eyes and that rendition of the animal. So this clearly they are looking and indicating that the warrior is actually ferocious in battle, and he or she embodies animal instinct when they fight. They play is equal to fight when they are at war, and the idea that raw aggression is actually the key to victory. So even the bull is like this angry bull which is looking ready to charge. So the lions, tigers, and angry bull, and because these animals are ferocious animals, they kind of sit at the top of the food chain. They are predators. At least they're the lions and tigers. They are known for their stealth, speed, innate strength to harm, and so on. So all of this literally visually indicating raw aggression as the warrior quality that is important for victory. Then, of course, they take this core visual symbol and then add some more layers around it. So the colors of aggression are used by some, which is the red or the very dark orange or red, which you could associate with blood, for example. Not orange, but that red is blood, and therefore also in that sense aggression. Orange, red, so the ferocious animal and that feeling. Some, like the Delhi Capitals, adds on the shield, again another symbol of battle and warriors. And then all the brand names are written in capital letters, heavy block capital letters, so seriousness, authority, etc. So each team is presenting itself as a serious contender in battle. And then also words conveying dominance and fighting spirit, right? So you have the kings and then you have the super kings. And of course, Bengal warriors clearly says that the team are fighters. So these also again convey dominance and fighting spirit. So the ferocious warrior is actually the most serious contender to win in the tournament. That's the idea that all these logos, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 logos and brand identities basically convey this thought about the ferocious warrior. Then there are the other warrior representations, which are of two kinds. One is the European knight with the heavy metal mask and then some fire symbol attached to the top of the face mask, the heavy metal face mask, which you find in the Kolkata Knight Riders and in the Telugu Titans. So he is a strong man. He is also aggressive because of the fire and then the helmet and the fighter and, references to the earlier era of medieval knights who were known to be famous for their fights and fighting spirit and so on. So that's the next one that we find. And the Telugu Titans is back in red and with the fire and so on. Whereas Kolkata Knight Riders aims for a more elite, prestigious approach with the purple color, which is more the color of royalty. And the Telugu Titans, he looks you in the eye, and he's looking like he is in the attack mode. And then, of course, the Titans again connotes power and dominance. So, and then there is a third approach to the same aggression, warrior, etc., which is the muscular man with the mace, like the Bhim, and all muscle and muscular, etc., etc. So yet another way of saying aggression, right? So it's really quite interesting how far they have tried to drive this theme of aggression and the warrior in all of these. So whether it's the Gujarat Giants or the Haryana Steelers, Haryana, of course, Steeler is also the allusion to Bhim of the Mahabharat with the brute physical strength and so on. So again, that the wrestling, muscles, strong man, also mustachioed, like the really long curling mustache, which you kind of turn up in North India and South India when you want to underline your masculinity and your power and your strength. So this kind of brute force as the key strength, and that's what's going to help you win. And then there are some which are, a little more sophisticated, or not so much about raw aggression, instinct, physical strength, brute force, and all that, in a little bit more into the precision and the aggression, but it's a kind of controlled aggression with the whole, UP Yodha and the arrow and the reference to Arjun in the Mahabharata. Tamil Talaivas also has this sort of very pinpointed, precise kind of precision in the visual representation of these aggressive warriors. So it's aggression, but more controlled aggression, which allows you to be much more precise and pinpointed in your attack. And hence here now it's mind with skill, not so much force. So that's how he or she marches forward. Then we go to another little more subtle, again moving more away from this just force to the lion, yes, and the panther, so Jaipur Pink Panthers. But these are muscled, but the eyes, again, they are this sort of controlled calculation, and it's mind that helps you win as much as your physical strength. So it kind of moves it into not just body and not in just instinct, but mind and control. That's the sort of opposite or the binaries that these play to. The interesting thing about the Jaipur Pink Panther is that literally it's like the color used is all pink, which perhaps derives from the reference to the city Jaipur as Pink City and hence bringing in that, the city reference into the identity, going beyond just putting the city in the name, but taking something from the city itself and putting it into the identity to create some distinctiveness. And then you have little more understated or slightly more subtle aggression or implicit aggression, like Mumbai Indians has that Sudarshan Chakra, or supposed to be the chakra. So it is a destructive force, and with the Mahabharata and the, ancient Indian warfare analogy, but still on the face of it, it's nowhere as aggressive as the, lion with the bared fangs, as you see in the Chennai Super Kings logo, for example. Or the Mumbai Kabaddi Pro Kabaddi team has like this 4 claws that kind of run through it. Or Hyderabad Sunrisers has the eagle, which is the most among the birds. It's the fierce animal and it's like the king of the skies. And the Dabang Delhi has the shield and a kind of reference to aggression in the shape, but it's not as in your face. So it's a little more implicit aggression is the key to victory, and it really need not be in your face in the way the others have. So therefore we find that the majority of the logos and identities in all of these teams, basically so if we take the Pro Kabaddi teams, there are 6 and 6, 12. And in the IPL teams, we have 10, right? So 10 plus 12, 22 team logos and identities. Majority of them all play to this war and aggression as the core, the war metaphor and visual and underlined visual, with these sort of different takes on what kind of aggression and what kind of warrior you are and warfare you play in order to win. The logo and identity, which is the most distinct and therefore stands out in its own place and completely different from every other logo and identity, is actually the Rajasthan Royals. First of all, the Rajasthan Royals logo background is pink, and then the text, etc., are in white, and it's this R and R in this perfect symmetry, sort of created like a royal monogram. And there's a crown on top, and it's really a crown with the crown jewel on top of the crown. And there isn't a single reference in it to any kind of aggression at all. So it's just drawing reference to royalty, which is associated with Rajasthan and representing royalty in this sort of very stylish, stylized, symmetrical, precision, control, and so on. So this, and of course that this pink color is almost taking it to gender neutral or androgynous kind of space. So it's even more challenging of this whole raw male masculinity, power, strength, aggression, which is sort of there in all the team logos and identities, almost all of them. And then you have this one, which is really different. So that was very, very interesting. And so therefore it's almost implying that the team's league logo actually denotes that you do not need to show aggression to rule, right? So it's in fact implying that we are born to rule, and therefore winning is a given. And we are not. So it's almost sort of saying that all of the others are like the foot soldiers in the king's army. And while you might go out into the battlefield and play, but actually the real mastermind behind the battle or the war and the winning is actually the rulers, and they are they know what it is like and they know what is necessary to do in order to win, which is playing at a completely different level than the players or the warriors who are out there in the field. And the symmetry also connotes discipline, and the discipline that leads you to victory, right? So the Rajasthan Royals is born to rule, and discipline leads to victory. And with this, the color scheme referring to Rajasthan, or at least Jaipur and the pink city, and this sort of androgynous or gender neutral kind of color scheme. So that's really, really interesting, and it makes it completely distinct and, quite consistent in telling a story or narrative. So if we were to kind of assess these and say, okay, what are the optimal, like what would be like excellent logo design versus things which are average and things which are really indistinct, or you would say, okay, need to rework kind of designs. So the ones that we think are really good, we could look at it from two perspectives. So you could look at it from a branding perspective. So if you look at a logo or identity from a branding perspective, you would focus on, will it get attention? Will it stand out when it's visible? Will it get attention? Will it be distinctive vis-a-vis the competition? And then will you remember it? Is there some memorable feature in the identity? And is there a message for you to pick up? So those would be the typical assessment from a marketing branding standpoint. Whereas if you looked at it more semiotically, you would look to see how does it connect in with culture. How does it build a narrative, that makes it a strong symbol in culture? And is that a kind of consistent narrative? Does it leverage pre-existing symbolism that people are already familiar with in order to build an emotional connect with the team? And does the identity actually play a role in building a connect with the team itself? It may or it may not, or the intent might be to do that. And from that perspective, when we look at it, then the designs of Delhi Capital, for example, with the shield, but also the reference to, there is the shape of the Rashtrapati Bhavan and the capital nature of the city. So there is a Delhi story in this identity along with the tigers and the aggression. So it sort of combines the aggression story with the Delhi story to actually build a kind of symbolism for this Delhi Capitals brand when we look at the identity. Rajasthan Royals, I already told you about how it builds a completely distinct, identity at all these levels. So yes, it will stand out. Yes, it will get attention. Yes, it connects to Rajasthan, and yes, it tells a story at multiple levels. So it works both at a branding and at a symbolic semiotic level, like the Delhi Capitals does. Similarly, the Jaipur Pink Panthers also is, quite stands out quite distinctively because of its color combination, and also because of the aggression, but it tells a different kind of story about aggression, and it connects back to Jaipur because of this pink aspect. And if you know Pink Panther as a series, you may also say that there is a little bit of lightheartedness and play. So it's sport and it's not really war, which you have to take so seriously. And lastly, even the UP Yodhas is interesting. Again, it plays similarly like Delhi Capitals with the shield as a background, and then it has the Arjuna reference, and so it also, again, and the blue and orange, which is sort of seriousness along with aggression. So it also plays quite well with these. At least it does a slightly different take on these familiar symbols, and therefore in terms of brand attention, standout, memorability, message, all these things it does well. But even from a symbolism and storytelling perspective, it does much better than many of the others. The ones that are really bad or ineffective are Gujarat Titans and the Lucknow Super Giants, because you really don't know what elements. I mean, they are most nondescript would be the right words to describe them, because there's no story, there's nothing in the colors, there's no strong message, nothing distinctive, nothing to remember. So both of these really are like the weakest logos and brand identities when it comes to the teams themselves. Might be very strong, but the brand identities of the team as constructed is really, I would say, subpar, is how I would describe these. And that's it. And the interesting thing is also that the women's IPL teams, the ones who have their own identities, also kind of fall into the same aggression, war metaphor, warrior persona, those sort of representations. It's not like the women's IPL teams and the women's sport follows a different metaphor, different narrative, presents a different idea about sport. No, it follows the same masculine codes and the same war metaphor of sport. So that to me is a bit sad, but I guess it seems that women's sport is trying to say that we are as good as men. We are catching up with men in sport rather than saying we have a different story to tell in sport. Anyway, that's basically what I have to say. So we have 5 minutes to chat. Any thoughts you have, Anurag, or anybody else has? It would be
So
good.
Jael has joined the session, so we'd like to hear. But just a quick point,
Yeah.
actually, that the sport gears, right, are so innumerable, right? That you've got so much opportunity to communicate, right? Whatever you want to communicate as a team. Right? Off late, for example, there used to be a time when jerseys used to be one or two, right? You would wear a home jersey and a away jersey in most matches, right? But now you see people kind of wearing, I've seen Liverpool team wear a pink jersey sometimes, right? Because they want to associate with a cause or whatever else, right? You will see Barcelona kind of guys wearing, UNICEF logo, even if it comes at a cost, right? So I think one, because they're carrying so many gears, somebody was talking about Formula One, right? Look at the number of gears they wear, right? Everything is a piece of communication, right? But outside of that, I also want to mention that some of the other very powerful symbolisms I've seen in sports, which unfortunately is not as ubiquitous in the sense that every team has it to a very significant extent, right? But whoever has it, is so powerful. So if you look at the anthem that Liverpool plays, right, you will never walk alone, right? I mean, I've been in those stadiums, right, and how it raises goosebumps. Right?
Yeah,
If you look at the All Blacks, right, New Zealand's rugby team, right, they kind of perform that little, I don't know what to call it, Kamate or Kamat or something of that sort, right?
yeah.
I mean, and they kind of, instill fear in your mind.
Yeah.
See those All Blacks, big guys, kind of, right? So, all of that ensure a part of the symbolism, part of the story, and create such fan followings, right? So,
Yeah.
just want to make those couple of points.
Wonderful. Yeah, we'll definitely look at and add some of the other types of sport symbolism as well, whether it's the song or the dance or the ritual. All of these also are interesting in saying, okay, what do they actually kind of connote and say? So it's competition and rivalry, not necessarily war, right? So that could be quite interesting as well.
No, absolutely. And somehow, this logo thing, which even if it stays quite still, right, you will see stadium design, right, pitch design, right, and those gate designs, and, pit designs, they evolve literally year on year, right? I mean, every year, the team launches their new kit. The logos don't change, right? The ability to symbolize more relevantly and more contextually has improved dramatically because you have all these gears that you can use to make those symbols.
Yep, we'll definitely look into it. Jael is here and I think she wants to say something. Hi, Jael.
Hi, Hamsini. Very little time to say anything, just two quick points. One thing, when I design logos, I always think of the extensions, right? And what Anurag brought up as, what are the things that we can apply it on and extend it upon, right? Adapt it on. And since we are talking of semiotics, it should be considered how it gets carried forward on jerseys, especially.
Yeah.
Because, it is the true moment when you're actually playing the game, when these jerseys, actually will have effect on the team. Your logo can be really fierce or really powerful, but unless you look powerful as a member of the team playing on the field, then it will not make sense, right? As in, the other opposite team should look scared. As in, at least that feeling should come, and you should feel powerful. Your fans should look at you as, power symbols, etc., to actually have impact of that power on the field, right? So I think that how you extend the logo makes a huge difference. in fact, did a pitch for, I think, Bangalore Bulls or something like that. And
Yeah.
And I designed something which had fire along with the bull symbol, and they really enjoyed the way it was extended, because fire actually is very, very powerful. And while we didn't get the project, but it was really interesting to understand what kind of symbolism they were actually liking. So something powerful which can get extended on the buses, on their helmets, on their. So I like Delhi Capitals because the jersey looks powerful. Very little time, but go ahead, Hamsini.
No, we are reaching the end here.
Thank you for listening to The Semiotic Eye. Please stay tuned for more episodes of this podcast. And if you want to learn more about semiotics, please go to our website leapfrogstrategy.com and access our learning center to start your semiotic journey. Bye.